All right, so like I said before, thanks so much again for taking the time to do this. First question is, tell the audience about yourself and how you got started in the disability community.
Sure. So I'm Alexa Kelly. I am a speech language pathologist. I've been an SLP for about 6 years now. I work with individuals on their communication skills across the lifespan, so little kids up to the geriatric population. I recently got diagnosed with autism and ADHD last year, so that's also given me an extra outlet to kind of participate in the disability community, not just as a provider, but as a person with a disability.
Cool. So, what sorts of things do you focus on in your current role as an SLP?
So things that I focus on currently are, well, my day-to-day consists of a lot of documentation, obviously. So doing evaluations and treatment plans, but when I'm not treating or evaluating clients, I try to do a lot of advocacy work on the side. So I network a lot through my LinkedIn, and I try to collaborate with other, not just individuals with disabilities, but other individuals in the professional or medical world that have disabilities as well, just to kind of build a network of people that know the struggles of being a professional with a disability.
Mm-hmm. You said that in your current role you focus on evaluations and stuff like that. So I'm wondering what sorts of stuff do you evaluate patients and clients, when you're looking at sort of, their individual needs, because like people with autism, people with ADHD, they're different and they require different things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the thing for me is I try to, I think the speech world has come from a medical model. And so we used to prioritize just kind of figuring out how severe a client is on any realm of communication. Oh, they have a severe stutter, or they have a severe language impairment, or, oh, this kid is nonverbal. We would focus on kind of those functioning labels. Especially with autism, we would say, oh, this client has high functioning autism or low functioning autism. But a lot of my work kind of focuses around what is the client's primary concern. So rather than, me trying to decide what the issue is, if there even is one, I ask the client, what brings you here today? What has led you to this point to seek my services? And, sometimes my clinical expectations kind of align with what they're looking for help with. And then sometimes, I get pleasantly surprised, clients will come to me for any kind of communication reasons. Maybe they just have a hard time making friends, or maybe they just have a hard time maintaining conversation. So in those cases, I try to quantify that ability to build relationships. So if a client comes to me saying, I need help making friends, I try to think to myself, okay, what are the prerequisite skills that are necessary to develop relationships? And sometimes it dives into the realm of language understanding. Sometimes people will use humor with each other as a way to build rapport. And sometimes people don't pick up on those things. So that always can be something I can write as a part of my treatment plan for that client. It really just depends on the client, and not all of my clients are on the autism spectrum or neurodivergent. I have a lot of them, but other clients I have are, kiddos that are trying to pronounce certain sounds correctly, individuals that are using a speech generating device, individuals that have a stutter or a cluttering impairment. I also do gender affirming voice therapy. And, I kind of go all over the realm of communication. If it is a function of communication to do, then I address it.
Mm-hmm. Um, my next question is like, what impact does your work have on not just yourself, but also the disability community? What sorts of stories have you heard from patients that you've worked with?
It's a great question. Um, some of the stories I've heard are just stories of neglect, stories of I haven't been noticed enough, you know? Um, and those are the kind of stories that inspire me to just kind of keep going day to day. Really, those are the stories that I'm hearing most is that people don't feel recognized, they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel supported. So when I'm treating a client, I try to treat from a quality of life perspective. Is what I'm doing going to actually help their quality of life, or am I just giving them sort of an anxiety response to whatever they thought was already an issue? So I really try to make it functional in the sense that, we really want to make sure that they're feeling supported or acknowledged or encouraged in whatever situation they find themselves in day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm. My last question is, how can your particular work create better outcomes for people in the long run? Because oftentimes you just said that you hear patients and they say, they feel neglected, they don't feel seen. So I'm wondering, what your take is on that.
Yeah, yeah. So I find that uh, advocacy work can start as little or as big as you want it to be. So from a micro perspective, I advocate for my clients through just the terminology that I use in my paperwork. Rather than focusing on functioning labels, I look more so at, the supports they might need and the things that they're really, really good at. So I think sometimes when you implement that language, it kind of creates a domino effect or a snowball effect. Other therapists kind of see you using and advocating for that language. Another thing that I find, to kind of help change and support the world of disability is just kind of finding opportunities to get the word out there. I am kind of a self-starter in the sense that I am never comfortable in any one role. I don't say, this is my role as a speech therapist and this is all I do. A lot of my special interests align with disability and learning and researching about disability. So I'm going to find a way to get the word out there. So a lot of what I, hear from my clients, I preach in larger platforms. So I recently had the privilege of writing an article for the American Speech Language Hearing Association about, let's stop using words like perseveration or hyperfixation as a bad thing in our terminology and promote using special interests for clients who are neurodivergent and make that something to be celebrated as opposed to something that is neglected or we try to avoid. Because that's another issue. That's a whole nother story. But I really find I try to go micro and macro with regards to my advocacy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's cool. Mhm.